And it's going to be interesting to see how game number 2, Memory of Gabe, adapt.
Well, I'd imagine that Terra probably won't be making her way onto the side of SoaR this go round, or at the very least, maybe just try and take away that raw from andinster. His snipes are just absolutely incredible. There's zero reason to allow Andy to have a god that he's displayed so much comfortability and just honestly strong. He's just so good at it.
You heard Aggro saying it.
He's so good at it.
You heard Aggro saying it before. He feels very warm and fuzzy when andinster hits these snipes. So probably that's the same case for andinster, and Memory of Gabe more than likely going to look to explore that option. But so far, still electing to take first pick after losing the second game. Going to go for the same option, taking away the Cabrakan and the Morrigan, keeping their own style in effect.
They clearly do not want to permit the Cabrakan or the Morrigan to go through, and it's still a smart decision. I mean, there's clearly a mindset behind it, and allowing the Morrigan to go through for anybody on the side of SoaR Gaming, I'm sure that they can display an excellent Morrigan should they choose to go that route. But the Fafnir, again, immediately picked up on the side of SoaR Gaming.
Like I mentioned before, this is the Eonic versus Jigz show. Fafnir in the second game, more than likely still going to have the control in the jungle, as well as Skadi here on the side of SoaR Gaming. Snoopy got first blooded because of Homiefe sitting in that dueling. Do you expect Cynosure here to make that kind of same impact and swapping lanes early on?
I wouldn't necessarily expect Cyno to swap the lanes early on. If anything, I would anticipate Gabe to just play a little bit more passive rather than permitting or pushing up to that halfway aggression line in the duo lane. It just allows too much freedom for Skadi to get off her poke. And as far as what I do really like, though, from Gabe is the Janus pick along with the Terra, a lot more global presence on the side of a Memory of Gabe, as well as an excellent way for them to try and escape from all of the calamity that can really come out between the Skadi and the Fafnir.
It's almost like Memory of Gabe forgot that Janus existed in the first game, not electing to take that option. It was banned away by SoaR in the second draft phase, and now taking those double global options, they could be aggressive if they want to, utilize those portals, or just wait and look for the aggression coming out of Homiefe.
And SoaR certainly still wanted to go with the idea of sustain here, just immediately picking up the Guan, which is excellent follow-up alongside of the Raw. But it was interesting what F-Thought pointed out, because even though they had 15k player healing in that first game, at the same time, they weren't necessarily electing for those, like, extra team fights. They weren't really trying to stretch out any of the fighting positions. They just opted to really just all in on a character, and that's what Skadi and Raw can permit you to do. There's a lot of burst potential between those two. Well,
Thanatos being locked in last for SoaR Gaming here, going to be doing a lot of burst damage on the side of SoaR. Yet again, 2 more buttons, smash or pass, SoaR or Memory of Gabe.
After that first performance, I'd have to give this one to SoaR.
Well, I'm smashing SoaR all the way through. What button are you smashing, Aggro and Tom?
I'm smashing the F6 button.
Yeah, me too.
F6.
Yeah, just F6.
Out.
Get me out. Right now, SoaR hoping that their opponent smashes that button, because last game, I mean, definitely needed to be cut a little bit short if you're playing for Gabe.
I mean, and again, andinster got that Raw once more. The same, basically, like the core that really made the impact that time around, in my opinion. I mean, Homiefe, obviously on that Whalrus was excellent, but Vetium with the Skadi, Jigz with the Fafnir, andinster with the Raw. And they get it again. They get it again in game 2.
We'll see how it works as we head into the battleground of the gods right here. Thanatos last pick. Interesting stuff.
Absolutely. It's going to be for Homiefe in that jungle. So no Whalrus, but same vein of character. Early pressure is what it's all about. And as you see that there is still 2 jumps on the side of a Memory of Gabe. So Whalrus could have been the pick, but the Thanatos with the last pick certainly very, very strong here.
I like Thanatos selection, one, because execute onto Whalrus is very important. He gets all around damage reduction with the passive, so you need to take care of him earlier on. And Hurriwind can walk through walls. Thanatos can chase that guy. Very important stuff. fineokay, like Guan will bring an interesting amount of healing, similar to what he had with Terra. A little bit of healing, a little bit of damage, a little bit of control.
A little bit less control in return for a little bit more healing. That's the idea there for fineokay this time around. We saw how important that control was, the chasing down kills. But really, I think that he could do a lot of the same things he did in game 1. Here in game 2, it's been wrapping around the back of these team fights, cleaning up low health members. Guan does that very well.
The transonics pathing, always looking for the back door into these team fights. fineokay making, honestly, that play on the left side winds up because of fineokay's wraparound. So, yeah, absolutely very important. Homiefe brought down low. One of the first Pro League players, I can't say he was the absolute first, but one of the first Pro League players to really show an adept, very strong Thanatos in his repertoire.
I mean, he's always had a pretty wide god pool, I would say. You know that he's going to play the Thor at an amazing level. He also has that Ullr, the Hunbat, of course, the Homiefe. I mean, you know he wants to play that Kamazats. It's just a matter of if his team will let him.
But when it comes down to Thanatos, Thanatos is such, I mean, a lot of players can wind up with high kills because of the nature of the execute. You know, you can wind up with some lucky early kills with Thanatos. But how do you continue him into the game, into the mid game, into the late game is really what I look for in a Thanatos player. And Homiefe absolutely can control this god from minute 1 into the late game. In fact, when Thanatos was looked at as not a viable character simply because he died after 10 minutes, Homiefe was one of the people that said, no, y'all are incorrect. Watch how I handle things. And he handled things. Then after that, we saw him adopted by Cyclone in the solo lane, etc. And here in Season 4, now he's a go-to pick for the most part, although sliding down a little bit. But Homiefe absolutely ready to make himself known.
You know, Homiefe's signature god for me, because I played against Homiefe. He spent a decent amount of time on the console scene for a while.
Who did you play with there, by the way?
On the console scene? Just a couple players. But he played a lot of Bastet. That was his god, man. He was a Bastet main back in the day. Which
still a very relevant character. DJ Pernicus still loves to play this. Whether or not he's split pushing, still a very devastating character. In fact, honestly, so the Bastet would be poor choice here against Whalrus' selection, but I love Bastet against characters that can escape, like Hurriwind's Janus selection.
The bleed is very, very important in that scenario, but regardless, it doesn't bring that same early pressure that Homiefe seems to be looking for right now, and that's with the Ullr pick and now the Thanatos. This tells me that SoaR really wants to get an early lead, but it's been in different lanes. Game 1, Homiefe starts on the left-hand side, is literally duo laning with Vetium early on in that game. Game 2, he's basically duo laning with fineokay. This time, fineokay's on the warrior. He's also up against another pressure warrior. So it's been interesting to see the adjustments that SoaR has been making, basically where Homiefe is going to be.
And that's one of the more exciting things about Season 4 here, Aggro, is that your jungler, your team can adjust where your jungler goes at the beginning of the game. That opens up the world to a lot more other picks and a lot more other team compositions, keeps the enemy on their toes. I think there's just so much more unpredictability, and not just that, but in the unpredictability, you're able to, like I said, leverage other choices that previously weren't really available. So that's one of my biggest loves about the new season.
Yeah, definitely not as standard as we saw in previous seasons. You could really take a look at a team and say, okay, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and they'll be here this time. Not the case at all right now in Season 4. Very, very fun to watch in that aspect.
Cynosure and Eonic have to be careful here, but Hurriwind really playing bouncer to make sure that Homiefe can't cut around on the left side. Very important positioning coming out from these players as they're trying to pick up the right side mid-Harpies. Eonic goes all for it as the ultimate comes out of the mid lane. Hovering in the sky is going to be the jungler. Can't find the execute, but still lands on top of Eonic. But Whalrus over the wall takes down Homiefe.
Whalrus not done quite yet. Looking for andinster as well. There's the purification beads to get out of the stun from the judgment tether.
Cyno wanted to go help. Poor Cynosure. Cynosure wanted to help Whalrus on that, so he jumps over the wall directly in the portal from Hurriwind and gets put back exactly where he was, like a Chronos ult. Just poor. That's not a knock at anybody in particular. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Absolutely. In that little engagement, sometimes we talk so much about the movement speed provided to you by the Terra ultimate, but in that scenario, it was the heal that really helped out Eonic. He was never going to reach execute threshold because if he was hit enough times to get into execute threshold, he would have gotten healed off of his own ultimate. Really, really nice counterplay there out of the ult from the Terra.
That's why a lot of times early game, and I think that was just an oversight coming out from Homiefe, right? With the Terra ultimate in mind. Eonic just with a great heads-up play right there. But early game, you generally see Thanatos' initiate with the ultimate, right? They go for that. They go for the slam down, the stun into their combo, and whoever else they're with follows up with the combo. Ultimate for ultimate here in the solo lane as Homiefe just sort of shows up. So early game, I think you could expect Homiefe to come out of the sky initiation style, and then later we'll look for those executes.
I don't think we can have plurals, except for the Morrigan is like kind of plural, but like they're
Well,
gods,
so
there's only one.
the Morrigan is going to turn into a Thanatos at some point, and then you're going to have Thanatoses?
That's a copy.
Right, but
So
it's
it's-
multiple Thanatai. So would it be Thanatoses? What's your prognosis?
My brain is just overwhelmed. I got nothing for you.
You can't even cope with this. It's okay. 6 minutes on the clock, and Gabe are the ones with the first blood this time around, just like last time. But the game didn't go in their favor.
No, it didn't. It ended up in SoaR's favor. In fact, Gabe only ended up getting, what, 2 kills in that last game?
They got the first blood, and they got fries after the fact, and that's all they got.
And they had to wait on that. Hopefully, going to get a couple more games kills this time around. But going to have to wait and see. I don't mind SoaR's passiveness in this game. Sometimes when you've got the Thanatos, you've got the Ullr, you don't want to let up on the gas pedal, but their late game composition is good enough and their late game team fighting potential is good enough that I've got no problem with them playing a little bit more passively at this stage.
You got a Guan, I'm down to watch it for 50 minutes. That's what Guan does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the console meta almost always. Just pick Guan and wait. So, it's no surprise there if you keep up with the SCL and watch what goes over there and, seeing what SoaR are able to do. I think that's sort of what they're waiting for. And like I've said time and time again, yes, Thanatos is an early game character, but he is absolutely still strong in the late game. And we'll see that really come to fruition because, like you said, SoaR kind of sitting on their hands right now, not really looking for those shots. Homiefe can get free kills if he goes and looks over it. If he goes over and looks at Snoopy on there on the Ullr. That's free kill central, especially since in Memory of Gabe have had the push-up in that left lane.
In some ways, yes, but on the other hand, you've got 2 global ultimates from Gabe that make that not such a free kill. You've got the through space and time to get the entirety of Gabe over there to help out Snoopy, and that Terra's Blessing ultimate. I really do think Snoopy's pretty safe to sit up in that lane.
Terra's ultimate, yes. Thanatos kills Ullr before Hurriwind's ultimate matters.
In some cases, but maybe they get 2 for 1 because Snoopy dies, but the entire team is ulted behind the enemy, and then you can clean up that way. So it just, either way, it de-incentivizes you from spending any time over in that duo lane because you know there will be a global response.
And that's why we're seeing, that's why we're seeing SoaR stay away from that go-to gank because of that threat. What you really want to see here, if you're SoaR or a SoaR fan, is this play. You want to see SoaR do exactly what they did last game, which was start this nonsense over here by the Gold Fury. Hurriwind gets chunked. I don't even know what chunked him. It was definitely Mr. Thanatos. Homiefe puts his team on the board, dodging the Snoopy shots. Nice control by Vetium, helped out, but Snoopy finds the basic, puts him down, jump away, right into the clutches of fineokay, and he's controlled by the Hun Batz. Dash through, basic takes him out. fineokay gets his first kill of the game onto the veteran hunter.
And that's just an outright, just individual play out of Homiefe. Starts that entire engagement off in SoaR's favor. No ward coverage on the bottom left-hand side there for Gabe. Homie wraps around, and 1 Death Scythe puts Hurriwind to 40% HP. The following Soul Reap puts him down an execute threshold. Doesn't matter where he's going, through the wall, whatever. Homie finds him with the execute.
That's the beauty of the Thanatos pick that I was talking about earlier, Ryan, is the fact that Hurriwind can literally walk through walls, but Homiefe can fly above them as well, so really chasing down that hard-to-find, Janus. That's one of the struggles for a jungler. And when you're able to pick, we mentioned Bastet before, Homiefe here on the Thanatos. Certainly, these are the picks that you want to go into when you see this Janus, which Hurriwind, this was the first god that Hurriwind went away from old Hurriwind to new Hurriwind in my eyes, where he took this Janus and he said, all right, guys, you have your opinions on me, but watch out. He hits almost all of these snipes offensively with the through space and time, and it winds up being very nice to watch, but we haven't really seen Hurriwind on this pick in a while.
It's kind of just used in their back pocket as we want to take this away from someone. You'll see them pick it against Eager to take it away from the best. You'll see them pick it against Noble to take it away from Stealth, against United to take it away from Chaos, those sorts of guys, but you're right, it hasn't been a necessarily priority pick overall for Gabe. This time around, andinster probably does have the Janus in his god pool, but it isn't of that sort of nature of we're taking it away from someone. This is just okay, we need to win this game. This is a very important game for Gabe in terms of auto-qualifying for the Masters LAN. They need to win this one. They don't need to, but it would certainly hurt them if they get 2-0'd in this scenario. So Hurriwind going to a tried and true god that he's comfortable on.
They don't need to. but they need to.
Yes.
Exactly.
They
I get what you're saying.
don't go home. You know, some people get all uptight about that. This is a do or die game. Like, none of them are die. Like, you're chilling. It's just like you might not make land.
Sure. But sometimes, listen, I don't need a new pair of sneakers, but I need those. You know, I need them. This works out.
Those sneakers aren't bad.
Those are actually kind of old.
Yeah, they're not bad though. You don't need a new pair.
I need a new pair. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Sure is.
It all just comes down to how desperate's the wrong word. If there was a positive word for desperate, there definitely is. But that's really the idea, is that in Memory of Gabe, they're not up against a chopping block, but they absolutely can find themselves in a better position. And, you know, you said it you said it, I don't remember if it was you or otherwise, but somebody said off broadcast that it's a very inconsistent team. And when it comes down to Gabe, they need to find that consistency, and these are the moments where that can hurt. The fact that this is a very important game for them to win. Here you can see them get very aggressive here, trying to make that happen.
There's the one on the Cynosure almost in sniper range there for andinster, but Homiefe is pushed back pretty far, so it would be difficult for the jungler to find that execute. And I think the word that we're looking for is critical. This is a critical game.
There you go.
For Gabe. It's not, it's not absolutely necessary. Uh-oh. Andy.
Oh, no, wrong spot. Andy is just stuck in between too many people. The dash, the root, the stun. Yeah, he's gone.
If he's Thor, he lives. But he doesn't play Thor anymore because he's in the mid lane.
You could totally rock a mid lane Thor.
I'm surprised Andy hasn't yet, to be honest.
I'm not.
Really? If there was one guy to pull out mid lane Thor.
Andy doesn't play jank.
But it's Thor. Like, it's...
andinster through his entire career has rarely, if ever, gone to a far away from the meta pick. Gold Fury down to 40%. Now, Whalrus zoning out. Jigz trying to chase him, but the rest of the team going to chase Jigz. He's down to 40, has to transform, and up in the sky goes the Thanatos. He's looking for Cynosure. Lands down, Soul Reap, gone. Cyno winds up being number 3 for SoaR. Vetium now trying to chase out Eonic. fineokay doesn't find the dash stun, but still looking. Dash root, excuse me. fineokay now controlled, and he's tanky enough with the heal to walk away. Vetium ages in tow. Here comes the chase down. SoaR looking down Broadway, trying to find the shots. Andy lining it up, has the ultimate, holds because he's looking for the objective.
Just too slow, courtesy of that threshold from Hurriwind, not able to close that gap. Gold Fury is started up, andinster does have that Searing Pain. There it is, secures it for SoaR, but Whalrus TPs around the back.
Eonic still here as well. Very low are the guys from Gabe, but still willing to fight, mainly because Whalrus is finding it and making it happen. Homiefe falls down. fineokay heals himself. Here comes Wally. Beautiful portal from Hurriwind for what seems like the 3rd time this team fight. Whalrus picks up fineokay. 5 alive for In Memory of Gabe, despite the fact that the objective goes the other way. SoaR still leading by 2,000-ish. We'll stick with 1,500. But In Memory of Gabe answer back nicely.
But this is a time where that gold lead is going to shrink because of the respawn timers. Homiefe gets his speed stolen here by Cynosure, who actually could be in a bad spot if Jigz and Andy recognize it. Unfortunately for SoaR, they do not. And fineokay still sitting on the bench for 10 seconds. So even though SoaR do have that gold lead after the objective, this is key time that Whalrus is farming where fineokay is not, where Cynosure is farming the enemy jungle while Homiefe is just walking back from base.
Whalrus and Hurriwind just made that entire team fight for In Memory of Gabe by themselves. Yeah. Everyone's forced out. Portal Demon tries to get stolen, but goes the way of In Memory of Gabe. And Whalrus just full HP thanks to a late rotation. Better late than never. Fashionably late, however you want to call it. The fact that he doesn't show up, quote unquote, in time is very important because he's got the full life bar.
Exactly. It was great positioning with that ward as well. No one from SoaR knew that Whalrus was there. Yes, SoaR get the objective, but the cleanup is pretty good afterwards from Memory of Gabe. Whalrus is 4-0 right now. Been a part. He's got 2/3 of Gabe's kills, and I like the aggressive decision. He understands that he's ahead. He understands that he's making a big impact in these team fights. Says, who needs defense? I'm just going pure offense with this Frostbound Hammer.
Right. To be fair, it's not pure offense. It's got some health on it, buddy. It's not like an Ichabal.
Sure. I mean, Ichabal would be a curious decision, but either way. The Frostbound Hammer, definitely the call. The call on the left-hand side is to go in as Hurriwind throws out that through space and time.
Vetium low. That's what triggered everybody on In Memory of Gabe. Wrap around his Homiefe. Tries to stop the onslaught, but here comes Hurriwind right on through. Nice stun, and Cynosure is able to get the kill off of the help from support Eonic. Very deep are the guys from In Memory of Gabe. but they'll just take the enemy's red buff, no problem. Vetium's going to sit this one out for about 30 seconds. And with 15.5 on the clock, in memory of Gabe, it ties it up after SoaR's Gold Fury with a nice little gank on the left side.
And that's exactly what you expect to see against an immobile god like Skadi with the double globals like we were talking about. Snoopy gets a little bit of a lead, a little bit of a health advantage, and immediately the cavalry arrives throughout the jungle. Just an easy pick there, basically, for Gabe.
Speaking of the cavalry, I want to see a little bit more out of this fineokay, and I think it's a little bit early in the game to really ask for the Guan Yu, but as we head more and more, that heal is going to be more impactful, and the players on the other side are going to have to take note.
That is true. I mean, but this is a little bit early still. I mean, Osiris, this is when Osiris is designed to be at his strongest. In the early stages of the game, the Guan Yu needs to wait a little bit longer, still needs to max out that conviction, really get some points in that cavalry charge, and get that CDR and mana online so that he can really just consistently heal up his team.
SoaR pause now out of it. Everybody is still here. SoaR right now trying to fight against it, and fineokay actually getting dove here. Whalrus going to target the Homiefe incoming, still trying to deal 2-on-1. Heal helps out. fineokay gets jumped on, but it's after the heal comes out. Whalrus finally has some help from Eonic, dash through, finds the root. Homiefe from a distance gets hit by that sickle. And now the guys on SoaR, unable to really find the kill. Hurriwind's here. What's he got?
He's coming screaming in there with that movement speed, then decides better.
Hurriwind runs in at the speed of lightning to get shot by a tower and press backwards.
Yeah, but he backed him up and made sure that this minion wave was going to get underneath that tower, try and secure it on the right-hand side. Andinster and Jigz are both on the left. There is no support coming for this right-hand side.
Nah, this is it. Andy's going to take the long way to the right side. In fact, he's not even going to go. He'll pick up some farm, knowing that the commentary from Homiefe saying, look, just give it to him. Just give it to him. If you're going to come this hard at a tier 1 tower at 16 minutes, take your 500 gold.
But there's not really anything for SoaR to punish them with, though. Maybe with this
the
rotation.
Kills. The kills.
The snipe is perfect from Andinster. Hurriwind knocked down from a distance.
Silence to make sure he can't escape no matter what through a portal. Jigz gets a stun right after the silence, and then Andy just gives it to him.
Yeah, I mean, really, the stun there from Jigz is what sets it all up.
Yeah.
I know it's nice that Hurriwind hits a snipe, or excuse me, Andinster hits the snipe, and it looks all cool, but really, without purification, that is an easy shot for Andinster every time. Got to give shout-outs to the setup in that scenario.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
Our very own hi-rez aggro taking credit away from a mid laner
to
give to a support player. Fans, write it down in your notebook the day that aggro left the mid lane.
What do you
March
mean?
23rd.
That's what you think, but I'm going to feed mid later in ranked tonight, like, consistently. Think I'm leaving?
Either way. Nice kill coming out from whoever you decide to give the credit to on the right side of the game. Tied up here. A little bit of a lead for in memory of Gabe, but not really worth talking about. 7-4, so the kills have been a little bit more exciting for the doggos, but realistically, this is anybody's game right now as we approach 20 minutes. SoaR at this point already had an absorbent lead last time around. Much better situation for in memory of Gabe.
That's true, but even with this lead being slightly in Gabe's favor, the compositions in the late game favor SoaR because of the double sustain.
Jigz in trouble. Surrounded, he'll jump over the wall, no big deal. Eonic dashes forward, dashes back, and it's a full reset.
It's exactly what you expect whenever the Guardian is the focus. It's not going to be very fruitful overall. Here's SoaR putting that sustain to use. Gold Fury started up here by Gabe, but they have to be worried about this snipe coming in from Andinster.
4-1 split as Vetium's the only player on the left side. Here comes the aggression onto the Gold Fury. SoaR got the first one, very close to death, and this one's going to go the way of in memory of Gabe. Eonic and Whalrus come in and do the business.
Homie just doesn't have an execute target right now. He's going to have to back up Gabe, not only get the Gold Fury, but they're getting the better of SoaR in this team fight as well.
Nice slowdown, nice stun as well. Jigz in trouble, falls down a hole, and he's going to help himself out. Thanks to a nice little meditation and shell, for what it's worth.
Ooh, snipe
off the mark.
So close, but Homie was waiting for Snoopy on the other side. The blink there, I think. Yes, the blink gets him right in Snoopy's grill, and fineokay is able to get the last hit there. Whalrus gonna fall. Homie
not done. Gets the kill on himself. Cynosure makes the junglers second guess it. Went for the Soul Reap. That's always tough because, of course, don't forget, when you're Thanatos, your abilities, they cost health. So he puts himself in a very dangerous spot, and right there he's just hoping his death sight comes up just in time to go for the kill. But instead, Soul Reaps brings himself down to a one-shot spot. And then Cynosure is able to turn that around. You know, if Homiefe doesn't drop the Soul Reap, I don't think he's in kill range for Cynosure right there.
I don't know.
It's close, but...
Hurriwind is swinging right now with these unstable vortexes. He's got almost an entirely stacked Doom Orb, the pen boots as well.
Hurriwind, no question.
Well, but it was the unstable vortex that chunked Homiefe down that allowed Cynosure to get the kill. It was kind of an instant burst from both players. So I think that he's probably dead either way, just being a little too overextended.
I'll give that one to you. Homiefe certainly wishes his 1 was up, not his 3, but either way, the team comes up successful. Team fight goes the way of SoaR, and Fire Giant Jr. goes the way of SoaR as well. In Memory of Gabe, however, pick up the Gold Fury, and that's going to keep them nice and even with the opposition. Teams still teetering within this 1,000 gold mark.
But again, it's the fact that SoaR have this double sustain in the mid to late game stages that really favors them going in. And fineokay is now starting to really provide those heals that are very, very important. He's got the mana regen from not only that Breastplate of Valor, but the Heartward Amulet as well, providing that MP5, very, very key in this scenario, and helping out his team. His playstyles have distinctly switched between Game 1 and Game 2, and that's impressive to me because he spent so much time in the jungle during the Challenger Cup that you expect, you know, okay, I'm back in the solo lane, which is his initial position, but I'm just going in. But Guan Yu is a different style of warrior. It is a backline protector, more so than Terra.
Blink in, and that's going to start it off right. Hurriwind from Mars puts andinster down. Beautiful. We mentioned it before, and here it comes. Hurriwind starts the team fight off, and the enemy's at a disadvantage.
Whalrus trying to pick up Jigz, but just can't quite find the distance with that second ability. Doesn't matter, though, as Jigz forced to back Gabe, knock down this tier 1
Look
tower.
At that. Right there. Hurriwind, last time you got to say was a support. Hurriwind just shoots blindly into the abyss.
He was feared by Fear No Evil, but it was really impressive. He didn't have purification beads.
Andy dies from the single shot out of the mid laner, and that makes SoaR back off. It's a free tier 1 in the mid lane, which we speak every broadcast about how important that mid lane tier 1 is with respects to map presence and map pressure. You just can't really give that one up, but fighting 4-on-5 also isn't an option.
That is the right call there from SoaR. Even with 2 key ultimates being down 3, really, if you include Eonic's ultimate in that scenario, you just cannot afford to fight into that by losing andinster, who has been so much of your team fight presence. He's not very high on the player damage charts. In fact, he's very slightly above Jigz near the bottom, but it's about where that damage, like when that damage is coming, when teams are low and he's trying to hit them from a distance.
It's also kind of the flip side. We've seen Ra. You mentioned fineokay switching up his playstyle. Ra right here. This is Andy switching up his playstyle on the same god. Earlier, game number 1, this is SoaR just using Andy as a Thoth. There is no mentality of sustain. You might heal up a little bit, but that's off-label use. It really wasn't the mentality. Now you team him up with fineokay on the Guan Yu. Now you're seeing a little bit more backline presence from Andy, and he's dropping that heal to help his team out more so. This sustain composition.
Very much so, and you can see he's already got almost 6,000 healing. fineokay up over 10,000 already just at the 23-minute mark.
Yeah, very impressive coming out from both players here. And again, you mentioned just fineokay being able to adapt and change. It's the whole team that's really switching things up. fineokay picks up the tower on the right side while his team's playing defense, but in Memory of Gabe backs off as they see the Gold Fury is going to be spawning soon. That's where they want to fight, over here on this left side, unless they have to defend this tier 1 tower in the mid, thanks to SoaR's presence.
fineokay does use the teleport in there. Don't know if he really needed to. Probably could have walked and used that as a second health bar in that scenario, so Whalrus going to have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the relic cooldown timers and for the next few minutes in this scenario.
And those are the types of plays that, you know, Whalrus spending a year in the SPL versus fineokay not. Those are the things that fineokay will pick up on, and we'll see that improve.
Gold
Fury already down to SoaR.
So quick there. There's a snipe. Eonic,
he's
going to fall as well. andinster get hits by the through space and time, but wasn't combined with Cynosure that time.
See ya!
Homie with the execute onto Whalrus. Snoopy forced to jump away, eats the death scythe. There's the Fear No Evil just to create some space, which is nicely done from Cynosure, but it's just not enough to save Gabe from not only losing the Gold Fury, but 2 members as well.
Start right now. SoaR have 1,000 gold lead, the first real 1,000 gold lead, I think, of the game. 1,300. Now we saw 2,000 earlier from SoaR before it was taken away for 2,000 for In Memory of Gabe. It's been very back and forth. The SoaR don't even go for the tier 1 tower. They're looking directly at the fire giant. Eyes as big as dinner plates.
There's a stun onto Snoopy. See you later, andinster with the easy cleanup kill there. Love this play from SoaR, just baiting the objective in. They'll only take this fire giant if Gabe lets them. That's the only way they full commit to this until that snipe is ready.
Early rally onto Cynosure. Very interesting choice coming out from In Memory of Gabe. Eonic back into the battle thanks to the ritual choice. fineokay left to go and play zone duty. But SoaR don't get their fire giant.
But that's fine. They just made Eonic spend 750 gold. They just made Eonic spend 750 gold, and Gabe got nothing from it. They stopped SoaR from doing the fire giant, but I don't think SoaR is really that interested in doing it anyways.
Homiefe, Hurriwind going for it. He just saves him. Up, down, see you later, Hurriwind.
That's just the combo again. Homiefe making Hurriwind's life difficult, and then the blink and the cleanup. Double kill for Homiefe on the Thanatos.
This is 25 minutes in. Thanatos swinging and winning. This is how he does it. Fire Giant started up by SoaR, already down a half.
There's the ultimate there. I don't know, I thought Eonic popped his, but in fact, he's just chilling. He doesn't even have it ready to go.
Nope.
SoaR gonna secure the Fire Giant. Easy peasy. All 5 members at the 26-minute mark have it strong. And man, Homiefe is just, I mean, Homiefe and Hurriwind stuck together through a lot. They both left SoaR together last season. These two were longtime teammates. But Homie is just making Hurriwind's life really difficult right now, man. You know he's getting a message after this, like, do you really have to do it like that? Like, brutal out of the jungler.
Well, listen, it's actually also fun. I love when players from previous teams sort of match up. Homiefe also did not pay this much attention to Hurriwind on the Medusa. And that's simply because he understands how much of an impact Hurry can make with this Janus. I always talk about the game outside of the game, the true meta, which we overuse that term, but really metagame is what happens on outside of the lines, outside of the battleground of the gods. And Homiefe understanding that Hurriwind is a very strong Janus that can honestly change the table of a game in one play. You unleash the ultimate, throw down the unstable, Hurriwind can take 2 to 3 players out in that combo. Homiefe knows that, and he has to neuter Hurriwind early on. Otherwise, Hurriwind's going to go on this tear that he's seen him do on the same squad.
Time and time again, without a doubt. Well, Homiefe is the one on the tear right now. 5, 4, and 6, but that double kill in that last engagement so key to allow SoaR to secure that Fire Giant without a problem.
And there's nothing in Memory of Gabe can really do to really stop this. This is sort of the default cleanup. And Memory of Gabe don't want to die at a tier 2 tower because then it's a guaranteed Phoenix. So right now, as we approach half hour, SoaR doing pretty well. 6,000 gold in the lead after a war of attrition between these two guys. You can see that graph now expanded. It's been back and forth, but the combined 24,000 healing and of SoaR's 2 healers has allowed them to do what they do up in the sky as Homiefe zoning everybody out of the conversation. Hurriwind primes the ultimate, finds his way to safety, but the tier 2 tower falls.
Vetium just locked down Eonic and 100-0'd him instantly. And then who does Homiefe go for as soon as Eonic's dead? See ya, by the way, Snoopy. He goes immediately for Hurriwind, then transitions over to Snoopy, and andinster hits the hot snipe over the side. SoaR just looking just so clean right now.
This is better SoaR than I could have ever anticipated seeing. Did you see the writing on the wall? You're going to say yes.
I mean, I was always a believer in this roster. I think that they just have too much talent to be where they were in the standings. That's the way I always felt about it. You never know whenever you get off to a bad start like SoaR did if that's going to hurt team morale and they're just going to kind of crumble from there. But ever since they found that steady solo laner, they've looked insanely good.
You know, when it comes to team morale, I don't think there's anybody better out there. Vetium controlled, but he's able to deal with the damage. Cynosure goes down to the hand of Vetium. Homiefe is a big force for SoaR, not just in the game, but also outside of the game. Whalrus taken out by Homiefe as well. This is likely to be the final sequence here. Right side lane pushed down. No towers, no phoenixes left for In Memory of Gabe. All 5 members of SoaR relatively strong and healthy. All 5 members of SoaR have that Fire Giant for what should be an eternity. Filtering into the throne room is our red squad. Stunned out, slowed down is Snoopy. Titan is the focus, half HP.
There it is. That's the 2-0 for SoaR. Gabe gets stunned here by the team that many had counted out in this spring split, but after that performance, I don't think anyone really can. They're going to be a scary, scary team going into that Gauntlet land.
Really rough stuff right there for In Memory of Gabe. A team that, while has been inconsistent, has looked extremely strong in moments.
Yes.
SoaR, on the other hand, not so much. I started talking about Homiefe's value to this team. You guys saw it on the battlefield both in game number 1 and game number 2. Whalrus and the Thanatos, two very different approaches despite similar gods.
Sure.
We saw a later game strategy from the guys on SoaR there. Homiefe certainly helping that out. But in general, Homiefe just one of the more positive experiences in the Pro League. And his team finds a 2-0. We'll toss it over to Taco and Toli to break down our Thursday Night Smite.
Thank you, Tom and Agro, and what a game and performance by SoaR Gaming. You know, they struggled a little bit in the beginning of the split, but now, getting closer to the end, they're looking to close it out really well here.
I mean, they certainly wanted their gauntlet seeding to be top of the charts, and it looks like they're definitely headed in that direction after today's performance.
Finding 3 points now is going to give them 7 points. And heading back into that first game, Homiefe playing a Willish game number 1, Thanatos in game number 2, and you could just tell that andinster is very comfortable having Homiefe inside his jungle.
Homie the entire time was just non-stop on Hurriwind with this Thanatos, and that's exactly what you want. You want a character that's going to be able to chase down the Janus and really make him seem a lot more immobile than what he actually is.
And as a result, we saw the fact that Hurriwind was a couple levels behind andinster heading into towards that late game, wanting to go for a more utility build, picking up that Divine Rooming, trying to shut down some of that healing coming out of SoaR Gaming, but it just wasn't enough for the side of Memory of Gabe.
And honestly, absolutely beautiful gameplay from SoaR, really keeping Gabe on a tight leash the entire time, just not permitting any freedom whatsoever to try and find their way back into the game.
Oh, that blink was just so powerful. Homiefe, we could just watch this all day, honestly. The executes were just so good coming out of the side of the SoaR jungler, but either way, looking at a Memory of Gabe here, struggling a little bit now, closing the game out, like where we saw SoaR struggle in the beginning. It's actually Memory of Gabe struggling. What do you think out of Memory of Gabe here, out of this set at least, that they could take moving into their last set?
I would have liked to see them elect for an Odin, potentially. I mean, they could anticipate the healer composition was going to happen considering that andinster had the Raw, but I feel as though they kind of overlooked the Odin in an attempt to try and snowball the game early on, which is what they were able to do, especially with Whalrus on that Osiris, but it just wasn't really able to come to fruition as far as the momentum was concerned. It just seemed like they dropped the ball.
Yeah, the healing was definitely a big problem for Memory of Gabe, and when we take a look at the post-game stats for game number 2, we'll see just how much healing SoaR actually did in that second game. First game, it was a lot, but second game, it was even more. It was about 18,000 healing just coming out of fineokay, and not only that, almost 12.5 on the side of andinster's Raw.
I mean, at the 24-minute mark, fineokay already had 10k healing to his name, and from a Guan Yu at that, that's a pretty substantial amount of healing.
Not only that, he was up against an Osiris in the early laning phases in the soul lane, which is never an easy task to ask out of your soul laner, especially one that just now started competing at the SPL level.
They just needed a little bit more AoE anti-heal, and that was really where things fell apart so much for Gabe, is that Osiris is great, sure, if you want to lock down one target in particular for healing-wise, but to try and shut down an entire team when there's a Guan Yu and a Raw present, that just becomes entirely too difficult to deal with.
So after those 2 games, we're going to see SoaR go up a little bit in the North American standings, now sitting at 7 points, right under In Memory of Gabe that's sitting at 8. So honestly, if SoaR keep on this pace, they could actually topple Memory of Gabe in the gauntlet here.
That's an excellent position for SoaR to be in, especially considering where they started off this split. Had such a rough time, and like Agro and F. mentioned, it can mess with the team morale pretty heavily when you're just falling so far behind for realistically no reason at all, other than the fact that you just can't get a solid roster to your name. But with the addition of fineokay, they've just been playing like exponentially well.
They were just playing fine okay, honestly. You know, the first 2 weeks were a little rough for SoaR. They lost to Team Eager and Luminosity, that are 2 really strong teams, but then unfortunately that third week, that forfeit for them because they couldn't field a competitive roster, was just what hurt them in the long run, which is why you see them standing right underneath In Memory of Gabe. And honestly, I'm really excited for what's about to happen. Not only is Thursday wrapping up here for us, We also got Saturday for Europe, but we also have the caster.tv, where if you want to become a caster yourself, just go on to that website right there on your screen, enter a 1-minute submission video for all of us to take a look at for your chance to win $10,000.
And a shot at $10,000 is certainly worth a minute of your time, because I don't know about you, Tolly, but that is a pretty substantial chunk of change for some gems and booster packs.
I'm looking for all the booster packs. Everybody in the lobby screen is just going to be praising my name after I give them more worshippers.
Hey, hi-rez stays boosting, you know?
Always got to stay boosted. But don't forget, guys, outside of the Caster TV, next Thursday, we're going to have a week off, but we're going to also have the Spring Fling for you guys. So make sure that you stay tuned on hi-rez TV Thursday, March 30th. Starts at 1 p.m.
You can't forget that it's going to be taking place with the 2032 featuring Strong,
online.
And we've got Chapo's arm, because
Very
that's
strong.
pretty much all you guys will be seeing the entire time is Chapo flexing.
Very strong roar coming out of Mifflin. Very strong gaze out of Allied.
Spiff has a boating hat.
Very strong smile the Stoltzy have. Just strong all across the board on the side of the people joining us. But either way, thank you guys once again on the behalf of everyone from hi-rez and hi-rez TV, the production, all the casters for joining us today. Stay tuned for Saturday for more SPL action coming out of Europe.